I do not know how these quarry-like chasms have been formed. They both look alike from below. The mountain wall comes down vertically into them, and the bottom of this one slopes forward, so that if we had the misfortune, when a little lower down, to have gone a little further to the left, we should have got on to the bottom of it, and should have found ourselves walled in on three sides and had to retrace our steps. As it is, we have just struck its right-hand edge. Unfortunately, the mist, thick as it is, has not been sufficiently thick to lead the men to walk over it, for had they done so, they would have got killed, as the cliff arches in under so that we look straight into the bottom of the scar, some 200 or 300 feet below, when there is a split in the mist. The sides and bottoms are made of and strewn with white, moss-grown masses of volcanic cinder rock, and sparsely shrubbed with gnarled trees, which have evidently been under fire. One of my boys tells me from the burning of this face of the mountain by the Major from Calabar during the previous dry season. We keep on up a steep grass-covered slope, and finally reach the top of the wall. The immense old crater floor before us is today the site of a seething storm, and the peak itself quite invisible. My boys are quite demoralized by the cold. I find most of them have sold the blankets I gave them out at Buena, and those who have not sold them have left them behind at Buea, from laziness perhaps, but more possibly from a confidence in their powers to prevent us getting so far. I believe if I had collapsed too, the cold tempted me to do so, nothing else can, they would have lain down and died in the cold, sleety rain. I sigh at a clump of gnarled, sparsely foliaged trees bedraped heavily with lichen, growing in a hollow among the rocks. Thither I urge the men for shelter, and they go like storm-bewildered sheep. My bones are shaking in my skin and my teeth in my head, for after the experience I had had of the heat here on Monday, I dared not clothe myself heavily. The men stand helplessly under the trees, and I hastily take the load of blankets Herr Liebert lent us off of a boy's back, and undo it, throwing one blanket round each man, and opening my umbrella and spreading it over the other blankets. Then I give them a tot of rum apiece, and they sit huddled in their blankets, and tear up a lot of the brittle, rotten wood from the trees and shrubs, getting horrid thorns into my hands the while, and set to work getting a fire with it, and the driest of the moss from beneath the rocks. By the aid of it and Zena, who soon revived, and a carefully scraped up candle and a box of matches, the fire soon blazes, Zena holding a blanket to shelter it, while I, with a cutlass, chop stakes to fix the blankets on, so as to make a fire tent. The other boys now revive, and I hustle them about to make more fires. No easy work in the drenching rain, but work that has got to be done. We soon get three well alight, and then I clutch a blanket, a wringing wet blanket, but a comfort, and wrapping myself round in it, issue orders for wood to be gathered and stored round each fire to dry, and then stand over Cook while he makes the men's already cooked chop hot over our first fire. When this is done, getting him to make me tea, or as it should truly be called, soup, for it contains bits of rice and beef, and the general taste of the affair is wood smoke. Kafala by this time is in lecturing form again, so my mind is relieved about him, although he says, "Oh, ma'am, it be cold, cold too much cold kill we black men, all same for one as too much sun kill you white men. Oh, ma," etc. And I tell him they only have got themselves to blame. If they had come up with me on Monday, we should have been hot enough and missed this storm of rain. When the boys have had their chop and are curling themselves up comfortably round their now blazing fires, Zena must needs start a theory that there is a better place than this to camp in. He saw it when he was with an unsuccessful expedition that got as far as this. Kefala is fool enough to go off with him to find this place, but they soon return, chilled through again, and unsuccessful in their quest. I gather that they have been to find caves. I wish they had found caves, for I am not thinking of taking out a patent for our present campsite. The bitter wind and swishing rain kept on. We are to a certain extent sheltered from the former, but the latter is of that insinuating sort that nothing but a granite wall would keep off. Just at sundown, however, as is usual in this country, the rain ceases for a while, and I take this opportunity to get out my seaman's jersey. When I have fought my way into it, I turn to survey our position, and find I have been carrying on my battle on the brink of an abysmal hole, whose mouth is concealed among the rocks and scraggly scrubs just above our camp. I heave rocks down it, as we in Fanland would offer rocks to Umwiri, and hear them go nickety-knock like pebbles in Carvesborough well. I think I detect a faraway splash, but it was an awesome way down. This mountain seems set with these man-traps, and, quote, some day some gentleman's N will get killed down one. Does not say N. The mist has now cleared away from the peak, but lies all over the lower world, and I take bearings of the 3 highest cones or peaks carefully. Then I go away over the rocky ground southwards, and as I stand looking round, the mist sea below is cleft in twain for a few minutes by some fierce draught of wind from the peak, and I get a strange, clear, sudden view right down to Ambus Bay. It is just like looking down from one world into another. I think of how Odin hung and looked down into Niflheim, and how deliciously hot it was away down there, and then the mists close over it. I shiver and go back to camp, for night is coming on, and I know my men will require intellectual support in the matter of procuring firewood.